Sri Lanka, the pearl of the Indian Ocean, and one of the world's fastest growing tourism markets.
In few hours, if you start from the beach, you will be on the mountains. In few hours, you will be in the cloud forest. And 1 or 2 hours, you will be in the archaeological sites over 2,000 years old.
I was on the phone to my mum earlier and I was telling her that you have to come here. Everyone should come here. It's so nice, so good.
But this is a country that is emerging from the verge of economic collapse.
We had to declare bankruptcy, declare the default of external debt in April 2022.
Is tourism the catalyst for Sri Lanka's recovery?
Definitely tourism is the lifeline. It's Sri Lanka with its pristine natural assets.
Or is the country hitching its fragile economy to a notoriously volatile sector?
How much can we put in the tourism basket is a big question.
සංචාරකයන් අපේ නකල සංචාරක කලාපයට එන අයව අපේ ගම්මාන තියෙනවා. එතකොට අපි කොහොමද මේ මුරු වැඩ කරන්න කියන දේ කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි එක්කන් යනවා ගමේ ගෙදරකට එක්කන් ගිහිල්ලා.
Sudat is one of many walking guides in the Riveston Mountain, in the low-lying Knuckles mountain range of central Sri Lanka. It's a popular spot for nature tourism.
ගම අපට තියෙන දියඇලි තියෙනවා. ඒ දියඇල්ලට එක්කන් ගිහලා නාන්න දෙනවා. ඒ සාමාන්‍ය ස්වභාවික පරිසරයේ අත්විඳින්න අවස්ථාව හදලා දීලා ඔවුන් පිටපන් කරන බොහොම සන්තෝෂෙන් ඔවුන් පිටත් යනවා. ඉතින් ඒක මරත් ලොකු සතුටක්. ඒ වගේ මිනිස්සෙක් සන්තෝෂ කරලා මං කරන රැකියාවේ මමත් සන්තෝෂ වෙන එක ගැන.
Sudat does about 5 walking tours in a week. These are numbers that he could not count on just a few years ago. During the pandemic, tourism in Sri Lanka had taken a beating.
ඇත්තටම අපේ අමාරු කාලෙදී අපිට අපේ සංචාරකයන් අපිට ආවේ නැහැ. ඇත්තටම ගිය අවුරුද්දට වඩා මේ අවුරුද්දේ සංචාරකයන් බොහොම වැඩිවීමක් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඉස්සරහට තවත් අපිට ගොඩක් වැඩි වෙනවා. ඉස්සරහට ඉතින් ඒක අපිට ගොඩක් හොඳයි. මගේ වැඩ කොටසක් මට සාර්ථක කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා.
In 2024, Sri Lanka was one of the fastest growing tourism markets in Asia, and it's expected to build on that momentum this year.
Sri Lanka is blessed with a lot of natural assets. Tourism has been our bread and butter. We are a hospitable nation. It's in our life plan.
That is where our speciality actually. For example, within a couple of hours you can watch a blue whale. And after 2 hours, you can come to the land and you can see the elephant. I don't think in many other places you can do this. And also we have 8 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which means culture. So therefore, we are also unique.
The tourism rebound is a remarkable turnaround, and not only because of the pandemic. Just 2 years ago, Sri Lanka was on the verge of chaos. In 2022, the country faced economic collapse. In March that year, foreign reserves stood at $1.9 billion against $4 billion in debt repayments. Sri Lanka thus became the first country in the Asia-Pacific to default on its debt in over 2 decades.
In 2019, Sri Lanka faced the Easter terror attacks. So that was a shock to our tourism sector. Then, of course, the COVID crisis, where tourism completely came to a halt. Foreign remittances declined. And then on top of that, the war in Ukraine, when commodity prices doubled or tripled. All of that meant we did not have the foreign exchange to pay for our imports and to also service our debt. And that is why we defaulted on our debt in 2022.
Without foreign reserves for trade, there was no fuel, no medicine. Schools were closed. Widespread protest demanded the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, as well as his brother and Prime Minister, Mahinda Rajapaksa. The government declared a state of emergency on the 1st of April 2022 and cracked down on dissent. But by July, protesters stormed the president's residence and Rajapaksa fled the country. By September, headline inflation had exceeded 73%, an all-time high.
Sri Lanka went through a worst economic crisis starting in 2022. This crisis is probably going to last a number of more years. In terms of day-to-day life, goods are available, slowly employment is recovering. But in terms of the cost of living for people here, that remains very high.
By 2022, most countries around the world had lifted COVID restrictions. International travel rebounded to around 63% of 2019's levels. But because of its troubles, Sri Lanka could not capitalize on revenge travel. About 700,000 people visited the island that year, less than a third of pre-COVID numbers.
The economic crisis was pretty bad because we didn't have supplies, we didn't have fuel, so it was very difficult to service the tourists. Tourists were willing to come, but we couldn't service them properly.
But now, more than 2 years after the economic crisis, Sri Lanka is inching towards recovery, with tourism as a shining light. Tourist arrivals have jumped by more than 13% in the first quarter of 2025. Earnings rose 9.4% year on year in this same time frame.
In the short run, tourism is the way out for Sri Lankan economy. And in the long run, I would say maybe from our GDP, 10-15% tourism could be the most healthiest condition, as I believe. So our plan is to set that up in the economy.
Definitely tourism is the lifeline. It touches a lot of sectors. It has a wide trickle-down effect. It is inclusive if it is properly managed. Certainly there are other industries which also can drive the economy. But the lifeline is Sri Lanka with its pristine natural assets.
So in late 2023, the government launched a global tourism marketing campaign, its first in 16 years. Part of it focused on Sri Lanka's natural beauty, including its outlying islands. Sri Lanka has over 1,700 kilometers of coastline, dotted with pristine beaches. About 30% of its landmass is covered in forests, with 26 nature parks across the country. And it is here, in the Knuckles mountain range, where Sudat feels most at home.
මම මූල්‍ය සමාගමක වැඩ කරේ. අවුරුදු 16ක් මම මූල්‍ය සමාගමේ වැඩ කරා. ප්‍රාදේශීය කළමනාකරුවෙක් විදිහට මම වැඩ කරා. ඊට පස්සේ මාව කොළඹට ප්‍රධාන කාර්යාලයට අරගත්තා. ඊට පස්සේ එතනදී මට මගේ ඒ රැකියාව පිළිබඳ සතුටුපත් වෙන්න බෑ. මොකද ඒ ගියාම මට ඒ පරිසරයට මම කැමති වුණේ නැහැ. මොකද වටපිටාවෙන් එන සද්ද මනසක් නිදහසක් නැහැ අපිට. ඉතින් ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මම අවසානයේදී තීරණය කරා රැකියාවෙන් අයින් වෙන්න. රැකියාවෙන් අයින් වෙලා මම ගෙදර ඇවිල්ලා කල්පනා කරා මොකද කරන්න කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මම මේ පරිසරයත් එක්ක ගැටෙන්න ගත්. මම කැලේ ඇවිදිනකොට ඇත්තටම මට වටපිටාවෙන් ඇහෙන සද්දත් එක්ක මට ගොඩක් මගේ හිත සතුටුපත් වුණා.
According to market research firm Future Market Insights, hiking and trekking tourism in Sri Lanka will be worth $780 million this year. This could exceed $2 billion by 2035.
Tourism is a low-hanging fruit for Sri Lanka. We only have to curate the tourism experience around an attraction. You don't need the large infrastructure. entry is also easy because it's a young people's industry, and a lot of young people should be looking at the industry with positive outlook and to make it a career.
Sri Lanka hopes to draw 3 million tourist arrivals this year, up from around 2 million last year. This target exceeds pre-pandemic peaks.
The government have identified tourism as a priority sector. The most of our development projects initiative more focus on tourism related, and also we have identified some challenges like how to a balanced development between the capital city and also the regional areas.
So how does it plan to reach this lofty target? One way is to diversify the source of tourists. Currently, most of its visitors to Sri Lanka come from India, Russia, and the UK.
Sri Lanka is a tropical island, but still we experience this seasonal tourism in this country, which is bad luck. Now, we have a plan actually to work on the markets like Middle East, India, Japan, Australia, New Zealand during the off-season so that we can keep the traffic consistently, breaking the seasonal, I would say, barrier that we used to have.
So why is the government backing the tourism sector so heavily? For one, tourism is one of the key sources of foreign exchange for Sri Lanka, something the country sorely needs.
So Sri Lanka does need foreign currency. We need foreign currency to service our debt, and more importantly, for imports, certain essentials. We don't produce oil here, so fuel has to be imported.
In an environment where we have a very weak export performance, how do we build official foreign exchange reserves at the central bank? And that has been one of the key issues that we have faced it. But however, during the crisis period, up to now over 6 billion US dollars have been added to our foreign reserves. So how we did that? Well, partly it is because of tourism.
Yet despite the optimism around the tourism rebound, some remain cautious. The travel business, after all, is notoriously fickle.
Tourism is a very fickle sector, in my view. If you look at just the last decade, the Easter attacks, the COVID crisis, or even the economic crisis when we ran out of fuel. So in that context, how much can we put in the tourism basket is a big question.
So with the speed of its recovery, how sustainable is Sri Lanka's tourism sector? And is it really the economic lifeline the country very much needs?
Yes, it's our first time.
We love it over here.
The
It's
sunsets
amazing.
are amazing. The
Beaches are amazing. The waves are amazing.
Yeah.
We just love it.
Sí, lo sabíamos que habían pasado un mal tiempo y que habían estado en guerra y sabíamos que también se habían recuperado, por eso decidimos venir, ya que es un país que ahora está subiendo su economía y para ayudarles un poco al turismo.
When tourism collapsed in Sri Lanka due to COVID, it was devastating. Before the pandemic, the sector made up almost 5% of the country's GDP. It was also an important source of foreign exchange.
There are three major foreign exchange earners for the country. One is the apparel industry. Secondly is the remittances that our young housemaids go to the Middle East and send it. And thirdly is tourism. Now apparel, yes, to a certain degree they have a value added, but of course you must remember that they import quite a lot of the raw material, the buttons and the zippers. I personally am not very impressed with our young boys and girls going to the Middle East and doing menial jobs and sending foreign currency, and Sri Lanka applauding it. Tourism, on the other hand, is all the sweat and hard work of the Sri Lankan hospitality that turns the tourism revenue into solid value-added foreign exchange.
In September 2024, a new president, Kumara Dissanayaka, was elected. The new government said its focus will be transforming the economy with the goal of resuming debt repayments by 2028.
I can remember 6 months back when we took over, it was just $1 billion USD was our reserve, which is 6.5 billion right now. So that means, how tough that we have managed it. Particularly the debt management, strict controls, import-export controls, and we have put the economy back within 6 months.
President Dissanayaka is from the National People's Power Party. The party published its tourism manifesto a month before the September polls. It earmarked tourism as a key economic force and a source of investment.
Right now, the government is pushing the growth. However, a little more strategic input would be required in the next few years as to exactly what is our market mix, what type of tourists are we going to bring down.
So we're on the 24th floor, and we call it check-in in the sky. And it's the most beautiful scenery from here. You get to see all of Sri Lanka, all of Colombo, actually practically Sri Lanka, because you see the mountains miles and miles away. But it's truly an experience because it's that wow experience in the sky.
Sanjeev Hulagala has worked all over the globe. In the early part of 2025, he returned to Sri Lanka to be part of the tourism sector's resurgence. He's now CEO and GM for Cinnamon Life at City of Dreams, a luxury hotel.
You're surrounded by beautiful art, but then you also have the concierge here, and then you have the front desk, but also a VIP butler service operation. So it's a fairly big arrival experience, but it's actually intimate and special.
Opened last October, this is Cinnamon Life's newest offering, known as City of Dreams. The luxury 5-star establishment is Sri Lanka's first integrated resort with a mall and casino on its grounds. It's also Sri Lanka's largest private sector investment, with development costing around $1.2 billion.
Luxury today is very subjective. And what we have seen on the luxury customer, it's not about just creating a place where you come and sleep. It's about engaging with that soulful nature, that experience, which you probably wouldn't be able to get in another destination. So we lead by authenticity.
Wooing the high-end traveller is one of the Tourism Ministry's strategies this year.
We are a very small island nation where we have some limitations, inherent limitations. With that, most of our top destinations are heavily crowded, and there are some environmental and social related issues. To overcome those challenges, we believe it's better to focus more on quality. And also, as a nation, we focus on the niche tourism markets rather than just focus on the mass tourism.
So the first aspect of high-end travel is revenue, certainly, because even though the numbers are small, the revenue will be large. Number two, the quality of the traveler is also much better. Most of these people want to give back something also. So there is that interconnection. And thirdly, there is a ripple effect, because once that market develops, you have to use a lot of human resources, because those people are looking for the personal touch, not automation. They don't want a card. They don't want to get automated. So they want to have a person behind the desk.
On the other end of the spectrum, local communities are providing a different kind of intimate experience.
ගොඩක් එනවා පිටරටවල් ලෝකෙම කට්ටිය එනවා ප්‍රංශය නෙදර්ලන්තය ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාව ඇමරිකාවේ.
Chandra Malini has been running her homestay in Riverston, Matala district since 2014. Their home overlooks Manigala, a peak that featured in Sri Lankan folklore and the Hindu epic the Ramayana. Chandra can have up to 10 people in the 3 rooms of her home. She charges about $13 to $20 per room per night.
අපේ කැමරායි කියලා අපේ තැන් හොඳයි කියලා අපේ දේ අගේ යන්න පුළුවන් කට්ටිය එනකොට ඒක ගොඩක්ම වටිනවා අපිට. ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ ආර්ථිකයට වටිනවා වගේම අපිට ලොකු සතුටක්.
In 2011, an initiative called the Homestay program was launched to register such accommodations. There are over 1,000 homestays logged with the Tourism Ministry, and possibly many more operating unregistered. This year, in partnership with the Asian Development Bank, an e-learning platform was launched to improve the standards and quality of homestays.
In the past, the large hoteliers or some well-established business ventures, they try to dominate the industry. But now everything has changed. Even very small villages, they can link with the industry. It's like maybe a homestay. We have to pay more attention on the community aspects, community development, and also for the preservation of our nature and our beautiful culture.
The government is also looking to tourism to develop human capital. Despite being on the road to recovery, youth unemployment in Sri Lanka is still high, at around 22% in 2024.
Tourism actually demands a lot of young people, skilled people. You don't need too much of education at a higher level. So that is where the entry point for young people is a very viable option. But unfortunately, not as many youth as we would like are now joining the industry. We must create awareness all around the country. Look, this is a lovely industry. You can see the world, you meet people, and it's nice. You get good pay, good salary, good uniforms, good food.
In 2024, Sri Lanka's GDP growth stood at 5%. However, the World Bank has moderated this year's expansion to be around 3.5%. Some question if tourism should feature so heavily in the country's economic plans.
Now, what do hotels or guest houses do? When they need the labor, they bring in the young people, but off-season, there's suddenly a reduction. And the skills that they get from the tourism sector are not really transferable to other sectors in the country. So that is my concern, that with all this investment in tourism, how much it's going to help our younger generation to be able to find sustainable livelihoods. We would like them to get into higher education. We would like them to become a skilled labor force, and we need to diversify our productive economy.
We need to go climb on this ladder, and we should move into the higher levels of economic growth and industry growth, which will fuel our economy to achieve 8%, 10% growth rate annually. Tourism industry is not going to guarantee that.
And what's more, there are growing concerns that the fruits of tourism are not going to local communities as the competition with foreign operators heats up. This is the world-renowned Arugam Bay on the southeast coast of Sri Lanka. It's regularly counted amongst the best 10 surfing destinations in the world and one of the country's top tourist draws.
It's wonderful for me. I really enjoyed. I catch a lot of waves actually. I'm really happy. Thanks to my teacher.
Emma is one of many thousands of surfing enthusiasts who make their way to the bay. The town has about 1,500 hotel rooms, and during peak season, Arugam Bay can generate revenues in excess of $200,000 each day. Abdul Rahim was born and raised here and has been running his resort for over 2 decades.
Arugam Bay is normally famous for surfing. So famous for surfing is pre-advertised the whole around the world, right? So people are coming. We are taking very serious care of them, look after them. So they tell their friends to visit, word of mouth. That's what the Arugam Bay we've developed or we built.
But all is not well in paradise.
Tourism has the two sides. One is good and one is bad. The good part is we earn money, we learn from them, they learn from us, our culture, and then they are happy with us and seeing what they got. But on the bad side is there are some illegal drugs, illegal workers, illegal things are.
Visitors on a tourist visa are not allowed to work in Sri Lanka, but increasingly there are reports of foreigners being illegally employed, usually by foreign-owned businesses. There are also cases of tourists selling goods and services to other travelers.
For example, there was a yoga teacher. She's here on tourist visa. She's doing the yoga for 2 hours. From the 2 hours yoga, she earned good money. So she pay any taxes? No. She pay any money? No. She pay any money to anyone? No. She just earn the money, go away. The country of Sri Lanka lost in the taxes. And also, when you see Arugam Bay as a developing area, we develop Arugam Bay with the taxes of the people, the investors, or the local people, or traders.
Part of the problem is caused by the relaxed visa rules. To boost tourism, Sri Lanka launched a visa-free scheme for visitors from 7 countries in 2023. Last year, it announced plans to extend this to 35 countries. It also relaxed and streamlined the approval for long-stay visas.
And they have come, and because they interact with the community, there are instances where they have started businesses and working in the community. The government is now, I think, looking at this long-term visa in a different way, because they used to give 6 months visas. But now I think they are trying to regulate that to ensure that you have to come and get the visa revalidated to prevent these type of long-term associations with the local population, and then those causing some sort of unrest in those areas. There have been a few instances in the news reports.
And then there are those who exploit legal loopholes. In Sri Lanka, certain businesses like small retail trades and money lending must be locally owned. Others, like tour agencies, allow up to 40% foreign ownership. Foreigners also cannot own freehold land. Should a foreign company wish to purchase such properties, the company must be majority Sri Lankan owned. So some have found ways to skirt these rules by hiring local frontmen to take up majority ownership, but in name only.
Basically, we have all the laws in the country, paying tax, registered company, invest on a legal way, properly, all these etc. But some foreign people, what they do, they came to Sri Lanka, they easily know how to earn the money. At least 30 to 40% the local community will lost. For the illegal business, we are lost 40%.
Rahim is also the chairman of the Arugam Bay Hotel Association. The association has filed formal complaints against at least 15 businesses suspected of violating tourism and land ownership laws.
We have several complaints we made to our tourism minister. We want to meet the minister and try to do this complaint as a face-to-face. But minister doesn't give us the time. That was very upsetting to us.
இந்த டூரிசத்தை பொறுத்தவரையில் வெளிநாட்டு முதலீட்டாளர்கள் உள்வாங்கப்படுறாங்க. அதே நேரம் வெளிநாட்டு முதலீட்டாளர்கள் உரிய முறைப்படி வருவாங்களான்னு கேட்டால் அது இன்றைக்குமே கேள்விக்குறியாக இருக்குது. அதுக்கான சரியான ஒரு வழிமுறைகளும் வழிகாட்டல்களும் அந்த கவர்மெண்ட் கொடுக்குமாக இருந்தால் இந்த வெளிநாட்டு முதலீட்டாளர்களில் முதலீட்டில் உள்நாட்டு மக்களும் ஒரு பயன்பெறதா அமைஞ்சால் அது நல்லா இருக்கும்.
We already have identified some of such situations in Sri Lanka, some of the places, destinations, several foreign. Maybe they even have violated the basic visa regulations and involving some of the businesses. I had a discussion with actually the Inspector General of Police and all our provincial tourism directors. So we are launching an active plan, and recently we did, a couple of months back actually, some of them we deported them.
Then there is another reason for locals to feel aggrieved. News had spread of cases where Sri Lankans were barred from some foreign-owned establishments.
Last year there was a few party run in Arugam Bay. They don't allow the locals. Then local complained to us, and we talked to the owners. Why you do? Because the local they are drink or drunk, and then they make a problem inside the party. That's what they are. The owners are thinking. I mean, the party runners feel it.
There are some good examples where there's good interaction, but there are some areas where there was a lot of publicity recently where they discriminated against the locals, which is very serious. They won't allow Sri Lankans in. Oh, it's not a white thread, no. But it's starting. It should be nipped in the bud.
Last year, the authorities stepped up raids to clamp down on illegal businesses.
We are taking strict measures to control and enforce the law against such illegal operations. But that doesn't, I would say, discourage some foreign investors who coming in here in the proper way and bringing fund and invest and running businesses. That's all fine. We encourage that. But this is about this illegal, they are coming in tourist visa and doing business.
80% we have win-win situation with the foreigners. 20% we have a bad things also there. So, it will correctify. It takes time also.
Sri Lanka is not a place that discourages foreign investors in tourism. We need to have foreign collaboration, foreign investments. We have some good facilities, some good hotels by foreign companies. So whilst that freedom is given, it is important to ensure the livelihoods of the people in the communities is improved.
With the tourism development, there are some social and cultural issues, but on the other hand, I think the tourism will generate huge cash inflows to the country. Without such investment, it is very hard to maintain our cultural values, even the natural resources. We believe the most of our UNESCO World Heritage, some cultural triangle related tourism attractions, there are huge tourism flows, and also the other side, huge capital flow. This excess funds we can effectively utilize for the preserving our beautiful nature, preserving our heritage. I think that is a must.
With all the focus on tourism, ultimately the sector is still a small part of the country's economy, around just 3% of its GDP. Is it truly an important driver for the country's recovery? Or is Sri Lanka putting its eggs in the wrong basket? 31-year-old Chanel Rodrigo has been making digital travel content for Sri Lanka for the last 7 years. With over 550,000 subscribers across platforms, her videos hit 2 to 3 million views each month. She took our team to one of her favorite parts of Colombo.
Right now, we are in what I call the heartbeat of the city. This is Peta Market. It is the largest and the most important market, in my opinion, on the island. This is a market where you can find anything your heart desires, and it's also the best place for street food. So I am a travel content creator, and the reason I began that is because I wanted to take the nuances that make Sri Lanka so special and translate that to the world and tell them, hey, look, this is my homeland. I think, to be honest, Sri Lanka has been unheard of for a lot of people up until recent times. I do believe the economic crisis made the name of Sri Lanka go really mass, and that's been the cause of recent influx of tourists.
Like Chanel, many in Sri Lanka welcome the revival of tourism.
I feel that it's a good thing because tourism was one of our main sources of income into the country, and reviving it is fundamental in order to achieve economic stability.
Tourism must be visit Sri Lanka. Most of the time need to visit. Because of tourism, we can go improve our shops. Everything improve. The money coming inside the country. Sri Lanka need money to improve everything.
This year, the target is to draw 3 million visitors, and the government has plans beyond that. By 2030, it hopes to attract about 5 million vacationers.
I think it's a huge number, but with the growth potential and also it's like a market competition, I think we have, it's not a big target, but to achieve this target, we have to develop our infrastructure facilities, and also we need to invest on the human resource development.
My concern is that if we work with that kind of a target, so much of our investment is going to go into the tourism sector, which is going to end up undermining other sectors. With the austerity measures of the IMF program, already state investment is limited. So we really have to get our priorities right. And I would say our priorities should be towards rebuilding the country, towards rebuilding our rural economy, agricultural sector, diversifying our economy.
Agriculture is an important contributor to Sri Lanka's GDP at around 7 to 8%. It employs more than a quarter of the country's workforce. Yet in 2024, the sector grew just 1.2%, compared to tourism's growth exceeding 50%. Other key areas like industry and services expanded by 11 and 2.4% respectively. So while Sri Lanka is rebounding from its debt crisis, there are still weaknesses across its economy.
Tourism industry is like a cherry on the cake, but first what we need is to bake the cake. But our focus should be on industry, service, other service sector and agriculture sector. That cannot be done without purposive and bold, broad-based policy reform program.
For proponents of tourism, the sector can be a catalyst for investment into other areas.
The tourism industry has a knock-on effect because it spurs a lot of other industries to come in. For example, if you go and set up a new hotel somewhere out where there is not much development, around that part the villagers will start selling their fruits, buying their vegetables, even making little mats and stuff like that.
We used to have 2 million tourists When it becomes 4 million, we need to transport them. So much other things, like even the sale of petroleum in our petrol distribution centers will be increased. So therefore, definitely, all other sectors, including banking, all food, everything, these are all interconnected. Now we have secured several, top investments, and these investments bringing in other things like finance sector, trade.
Priyanka Pereira set up his factory on the outskirts of Colombo more than 3 decades ago. He's a pioneer of sachet manufacturing in Sri Lanka. Sachets are usually single-use packets of condiments and sundries common throughout Asia.
Actually, when I visited overseas packaging exhibition, I saw this sachet manufacturing plant. So I thought, why not, we introduce to Sri Lankan market, the hospitality industry. So we got down the sachet machine and we start producing sachets for hospitality industry. We started 33 years ago to serve to the hospitality industry. We started with manufacturing sachets, sugar, salt, pepper, then toothpick in a sachet. Then we shifted to those days plastic straws, plastic straw in a sachet like that. So we start with 1 worker, now we have 100 workers, and we are serving for 95% of hospitality industry hotels in Sri Lanka and Maldives.
Thanks in large part to the tourism rebound, Priyanka's company has seen an 8 to 10% increase in annual sales.
After economic crash, actually now new ventures are starting. New hotel groups are coming in, and tourist numbers have been increased. So I think there is good opportunity to increase our business volumes also.
Yet for others, they urge caution over the enthusiasm for tourism.
In countries like Sri Lanka, we are always, told there's some magic bullet that would save our country. So in 1977, we were told it's the open economy, that if you open up your economy, then you'll be able to export and you'll be able to import anything that you needed. Now, again, after this economic crisis, we are told that tourism would be the way forward. But when we invest in hotels or real estate, a lot of the fixtures, a lot of the cars that are necessary for the tourism sector, the luxury cars, they are all imported. They are not produced here locally. So in that sense, it doesn't really have the add-on effects that would be desirable.
The issue is now we don't want to depend exclusively on tourism industry, although it is an employment generating sector, but we need to climb on this ladder to the higher levels, improving our education, improving our human resource skills and vocational training.
And for Sri Lanka, there is some urgency to find the right mix to get the economy back on track. In less than 3 years, it will have to start repaying its IMF debt.
So while we were trying to repay the debt through this debt restructuring process, the whole burden was put on working people. So those effects, now we've seen poverty up to 25%, school dropouts, malnutrition on the rise. So these are the real conditions that people are facing. The IMF and the World Bank say that the country is recovering. Now, who is it recovering for? Is it recovery to repay the bondholders and the big creditors, or is it recovery for the people?
And there are risks outside the government's control. High fuel prices, a potential global slowdown caused by the trade war, and conflict in its neighbourhood could all put a lid on Sri Lanka's tourism dreams.
It is good to have tourism because immediate recovery from the crisis, earning dollars. However, why we shouldn't over-rely on tourism industry, because it is a sensitive industry, sensitive to many other external shocks. So sudden collapse of tourism industry is always possible.
Whether the government's tourism gambit will pave the road to recovery, there is one upside many agree on. As more people visit the pearl of the Indian Ocean, Sri Lanka's image, sullied by its recent troubles, is being restored.
During last couple of years, our image was kind of tarnished, and this is where we are planning a national branding campaign to bring the name of Sri Lanka internationally to the world. I think tourism can play that role.
Every tourist can be Sri Lanka's brand ambassador. I think a lot of people don't know about Sri Lanka given its small size, and my experience with some of the tourists who have come, and once they come to Sri Lanka, they just fall in love with Sri Lanka.
What I'm making is something from my heart. It's about my home country, and it is about how I feel about it. It's very special, it's deeply emotional, every single video that I make. And I hope more and more people come and tell the stories of Sri Lanka.